Royal Navy, Great Britain. This British naval force entered World War II as the world's most powerful navy, with 328 ships in service when war broke out in September 1939. The Royal Navy deployed combat-ready ships grouped into task forces distributed across the entire globe, reflecting Britain's vast colonial empire and worldwide naval commitments. In European waters, the Home Fleet protected the British Isles and North Atlantic convoy routes, while the Mediterranean Fleet operated from bases in Malta and Egypt to control vital sea lanes. The fleet composition included 15 battleships and battlecruisers, 7 aircraft carriers, 66 cruisers, 184 destroyers, and 56 submarines at the war's outbreak. Britain's shipbuilding industry operated around the clock throughout the war, replacing losses and expanding the fleet despite German submarine campaigns that threatened maritime supply lines. In May 1941, the Royal Navy dispatched 65 ships to hunt down German battleship Bismarck after she broke out into the Atlantic, losing battlecruiser Hood during the pursuit but ultimately sinking the German raider. British forces fought continuously from Iceland to the Cape of Good Hope, protecting convoys, hunting enemy surface raiders, and supporting amphibious operations. The Royal Navy also suffered devastating losses in the Pacific, losing battleship Prince of Wales and battlecruiser Repulse to Japanese aviation in December 1941. Marine Nationale, France. This French naval force stood as the second largest navy in the world at the war's outbreak, with 174 ships in service, serving as Britain's primary ally in European waters. The Force de Raid Squadron comprised France's most modern battleships, cruisers, and destroyers, based at Brest with the primary mission of hunting enemy raiders in the Atlantic Ocean. French naval forces deployed across multiple theaters, including the Mediterranean Sea, Atlantic Ocean bases, the English Channel, Dakar in West Africa, and the Indian Ocean to protect French colonial interests. The fleet included 7 battleships, 1 aircraft carrier, 19 cruisers, 71 destroyers, and 76 submarines when war commenced in September 1939. However, France's military collapse in June 1940 dramatically altered the naval balance of power in the Mediterranean and Atlantic. Following the French capitulation, the Marine Nationale ceased all active combat operations as an Allied force. The British Royal Navy, concerned about French ships falling into German hands, attacked French vessels at Mers el-Kabir in Algeria in July 1940, destroying or damaging several major warships to prevent their seizure. The sudden removal of France's substantial naval power from the Allied order of battle forced Britain to redistribute forces and created new vulnerabilities that Germany and Italy attempted to exploit throughout the Mediterranean campaign. Kriegsmarine, Germany. This German naval force served as the main adversary of Great Britain and France in the European theater until June 1940, with 103 ships in service at the war's outbreak. The Kriegsmarine entered World War II significantly outnumbered by the combined Allied navies, possessing just 2 battleships, 2 battlecruisers, 3 pocket battleships, 8 cruisers, 22 destroyers, and 57 submarines in September 1939. German naval strategy focused on commerce raiding and submarine warfare rather than direct fleet engagements, recognizing the impossibility of matching British naval strength in surface combatants. In August 1940, the brand-new battleship Bismarck joined the Kriegsmarine, displacing 41,000 tons and mounting 8 15-inch guns as one of Europe's most powerful warships. Bismarck set off on her first combat raid in May 1941, together with heavy cruiser Prince Eugen, sinking battlecruiser Hood before British forces destroyed her after a massive chase. Germany commenced mass production of submarines to combat the Royal Navy, building 1,099 submarines of various types during the war, with new boats entering service every 2 days on average. In 1942, German submarines achieved devastating success, sinking 1,245 Allied ships while losing just 84 U-boats. However, improved Allied convoy protection, radar, sonar, and dedicated anti-submarine vessels gradually turned the tide against the submarine force. In December 1943, battleship Scharnhorst was destroyed by British ships, leaving only Tirpitz as Germany's remaining battleship until British aviation sank her in 1944. By spring 1945, the Kriegsmarine had been essentially destroyed, leading to the surrender of 156 submarines on May 4, 1945. Regia Marina, Italy. This Italian naval force joined the war in June 1940 with 261 ships in service, primarily based in the Mediterranean Sea, where it became Britain's main adversary in that theater. The Italian fleet comprised 6 battleships, no operational aircraft carriers, 21 cruisers, 128 destroyers, and 106 submarines at its entry into the conflict. Great Britain responded to Italy's declaration of war by deploying the Mediterranean Fleet based in Malta and Egypt, along with Task Force H stationed in Gibraltar to control the Western Mediterranean. The Regia Marina faced immediate challenges including lack of naval aviation, forcing reliance on land-based aircraft for reconnaissance and air support during fleet operations. Italian battleships, including the modern Littorio-class vessels, provided substantial firepower, but the absence of aircraft carriers proved a critical weakness in an era increasingly dominated by naval aviation. The Italian Navy fought numerous engagements against British forces along Mediterranean communication lines, attempting to disrupt convoys supplying Malta and British forces in North Africa. Despite possessing modern ships and courageous crews, the Regia Marina struggled against British advantages in radar technology, naval intelligence from code-breaking, and carrier-based aviation. In September 1943, Italy capitulated and the Regia Marina ceased to pose a threat to British forces in the Mediterranean Sea. Soviet Navy, USSR. This Soviet naval force joined World War II in June 1941 with 272 ships in service, grouped into 4 separate fleets operating in different theaters. The Baltic Fleet, Black Sea Fleet, Northern Fleet, and Pacific Fleet each operated independently due to geographic separation, preventing coordinated operations or transfer of forces between theaters. The Soviet Navy comprised 3 battleships, no aircraft carriers, 7 cruisers, 59 destroyers, and 203 submarines when Germany invaded on June 22, 1941. Due to the primarily ground-based nature of the war between the USSR and Germany, the main objectives of the Soviet Navy involved supporting the coastal flanks of ground troops and intercepting enemy communications, rather than major fleet engagements. Soviet warships played crucial roles protecting military cargo convoys crossing from Great Britain to the ports of Murmansk and Arkhangelsk in close cooperation with Allied navies against German air and submarine attacks. The Baltic Fleet found itself largely bottled up in Leningrad and Kronstadt by German minefields and coastal artillery, limiting operations primarily to supporting the defense of Leningrad during the devastating siege. The Black Sea Fleet conducted amphibious operations, shore bombardment, and evacuations along the Soviet coastline, while fighting against smaller German and Romanian naval forces. At the cost of tangible losses throughout the war, the Soviet Navy ensured the safety of maritime trade routes and the success of ground operations in coastal sectors. Imperial Japanese Navy. This Japanese naval force comprised 238 ships in service on December 7, 1941, when Japanese aviation launched a devastating offensive on the United States naval base at Pearl Harbor. The Imperial Japanese Navy possessed 10 battleships, 6 operational aircraft carriers, 18 heavy cruisers, 20 light cruisers, 112 destroyers, and 72 submarines at the war's outbreak. Japan initially held numerical superiority in aircraft carriers over the United States with 6 fleet carriers versus 3 American carriers, providing crucial advantage in the carrier-dominated Pacific Naval War. 3 days after Pearl Harbor, Japanese aviation sent British battleship Prince of Wales and battlecruiser repulsed to the bottom in the South China Sea, demonstrating the dominance of naval aviation over surface ships. In May 1942, the first major carrier battle occurred in the Coral Sea, where Japanese forces sank one of 2 American carriers, but lost 1 carrier destroyed and 1 damaged, preventing the invasion of New Guinea. The Battle of Midway in June 1942 proved the decisive turning point of the Pacific War, with Japan committing 4 aircraft carriers, 2 battleships, 2 heavy cruisers, 1 light cruiser, 12 destroyers, and 248 carrier aircraft. During the 3-day battle, the Imperial Japanese Navy lost all 4 carriers, 248 aircraft, and a heavy cruiser, while Americans lost carrier Yorktown, 150 planes, and a destroyer. Japan's carrier aviation never recovered from Midway's catastrophic losses of experienced pilots and irreplaceable fleet carriers. In October 1944, the Imperial Japanese Navy suffered devastating defeat at Leyte Gulf, the largest naval battle of World War II, losing all 4 carriers, 3 battleships including super battleship Musashi, 8 cruisers, and 12 destroyers. The final major engagement saw super battleship Yamato, escorted by 1 cruiser and 8 destroyers, sent on a one-way mission to attack American forces landing on Okinawa in April 1945. The United States dispatched 11 carriers with 394 aircraft to destroy Yamato, sinking the massive battleship and most of her escorts. United States Navy. This American naval force possessed 345 ships in service when the nation joined World War II, following the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941. The United States Navy comprised 17 battleships, 7 aircraft carriers, 18 heavy cruisers, 19 light cruisers, 171 destroyers, and 113 submarines at the moment of entry into the conflict. Despite the devastating losses at Pearl Harbor, where 8 battleships were sunk or damaged, American industrial capacity quickly transformed the naval balance of power in the Pacific. The colossal industrial machine of the United States mobilized for military needs and reached full capacity, providing a massive scale of warship production unmatched by any other combatant nation. By 1943, American shipyards launched an average of 3 new ships every day, including Essex-class aircraft carriers, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, and submarines in unprecedented numbers. The United States Navy achieved absolute supremacy in the air through mass-produced carrier aviation, confirming naval aviation as the main naval strike force of modern warfare. American forces launched offensives across the Pacific, with the Navy taking active part in amphibious landings and suppressing enemy coastal defenses with overwhelming artillery fire from battleships and cruisers. At Leyte Gulf in October 1944, the United States lost 3 carriers and 3 escort ships, while destroying the majority of Japan's remaining fleet in the war's largest naval battle. Mass implementation of state-of-the-art military equipment, including radar, sonar, and advanced fire control systems, gave American warships decisive technological advantages over Axis opponents. By September 2, 1945, when Japan signed the Act of Capitulation aboard United States battleship Missouri, the USA had become the world's dominant naval superpower with the largest and most technologically advanced fleet in history. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and drop a comment. See you on the